shoot, gotta go to that. What's up, everybody? All our viewers, all our 2 viewers that are watching right now, those are that are gonna come back and watch later. We are back, Podcast X. We're going into episode 3 and 4. Shorter episode this round because we're not spending so much time on intros. I'm T-Bear. This is MackMan.
Good day, everyone. Yes. Well, I was kind of like, is it good morning, good afternoon? But kind of thinking about our viewers that are going to come back and view this. So, good day.
Good day.
MackMan here, and excited to do another episode of. Do we say it together?
Podcast X.
Podcast X.
X. Like I said, we're on episode 3 and 4. I think this is our second episode of our podcast, but we're covering episode the 3rd and 4th episodes.
Yep. Late bloomers here, but and also disclaimer, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
we expect you to watch these episodes. Now. Yeah, we know responsibilities come and things like that, but
only what, like program. Half hour or how?
Yeah, they're about half hour.
Animated series. I was looking. I was like, gee, they're only 21 minutes.
I know, huh? But that's like,
but it's just like commercial.
Yeah, like like the commercial parts back then, whatever. But when you even look at the timing of the episodes on Disney Plus, like a lot of it's like the credits at the end, you know.
Yeah.
So really, we're getting robbed.
Before we get rolling here, got myself a gift.
Oh.
Saw my hat. Pretty cool hat. Specifically for this podcast.
You know, I was thinking like every time we come, we should wear a different apparel of X-Men.
Different apparel?
Yeah. So you had your amazing sweatshirt last week.
It's dirty now, though.
Loved it. It's dirty now, but that makes it more vintage, you know. And then you have this amazing hat.
I got you a gift.
Oh my God! So we're getting gifts.
And
now we gotta do our sponsorship by Marvel.
A single cam here.
Shout out to Mr. Bear, Trayvon Bear, for this was not even planned.
Remember I ordered that, or I asked you who is your favorite, and then you said WandaVision, Wanda.
But I already ordered it and it was too late. Yeah. Oh Wanda. Yeah. So as I said last week, I did a big spiel about what my favorite character was and the traumatic and trauma stories of that. But yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Bear. I actually was gonna surprise you, but do you want to wait for your surprise, or do you want me to tell you what it is?
You can, up to you. It's here, or you got the surprise, or it's.
I'm gonna wait for it then. Okay. It's not with me. Okay. It's on the way, so you got a surprise coming in.
All right. So I ordered the cup because I wanted a cup for myself. I'm gonna get Froggy cup. So
I feel like this is like one of. Oh my God, that's pretty cool. That,
like the inside. Hey, bub.
That's awesome.
Inside says, "Hey, bub," because that's one of Wolverine's shit.
I'm feeling like now we have to like leave these cups here and use these throughout the show now.
Yeah.
Like you like classic like Conan and.
We gotta get coasters though, because.
This mahogany.
The mic is really.
Oh, catches up everything, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, so I ordered the cup, not knowing it was coming free socks.
Oh.
Look, 2 shots.
I thought you were gonna say.
You see that video?
But 2 shots of vodka.
2 shots of glick. It shows a guy falling down the stairs.
I was gonna say, I thought you ordered me some.
It's Lord's Day. We're drinking water only.
We're drinking the Lord's blood.
So there it is. Hey, bub.
Awesome. Well, I was trying to open this, but I didn't want to take too much time to open this gift. That's awesome. We'll have it ready next time.
Let's get into the episodes. So episode 3. Well, let's talk about last where we left off on episode 2, right? Episode 2. The cliffhanger was pretty, what would you say, shocking? Kind of left us in awe.
Yeah.
Was it expected?
No, honestly, like when you said, hey, you're going to be surprised about this episode. And I was like, okay, you know. But yeah, I was really shocked. I didn't see that coming, and I didn't see no spoilers on that online. I did see some videos talking about the Goblin Queen, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But as I was telling Mr. Bear, I did some research. I didn't know who Goblin Queen was, and so yeah, this episode caught me by surprise.
Goblin Queen,
or the cliffhanger did. I'm sorry,
cliffhanger. Before we go to the episode, the cliffhanger. So at the end of episode 2, which the episode ended like on Magneto kind of establishing himself as a good guy now, and the team's all in the lobby or whatever, the X mansion, and then someone knocks on the door, and then up comes Jean Grey, or a clone, or somebody.
We don't know.
There's already a Jean Grey, right? So I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What's that? And then, of course, I had to do some research, like you said, and we'll talk about it a little more. But that's where it left us. And then all the videos and reviews that I watched kind of directly led into, oh, Mr. Sinister's back and this and that, because the storylines out there in the Marvel comics about that cloning Jean Grey and all that stuff. So, which goes into detail here a little more in the 3rd episode, which is titled Fire Made Flesh. That was kind of a callback to the Phoenix Saga or something, something along those lines. Jean Grey makes that line, says that when she's flame on stuff. Real quick about the intro music. No, Storm wasn't in there. I think it was that one. And then Storm wasn't in there. And then who else was in there? I can't remember if Bishop was in there or not.
For this 3rd episode?
3rd episode. Was Storm in there and Bishop? Or what do you remember?
We're talking about 97, right?
Yes. The intro.
The intro?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I can't remember. I think I want to say yes.
I don't think Storm was in there.
Oh yeah, because I think we talked about that last time. Like
they're changing it. They try to change it. They give, because they had Cyclops did the very first 97 episode, previously on X-Men, because in the original animated series he was always the one to do that. And then the 2nd episode, it was Magneto's voice who did the previously on X-Men.
Oh yeah.
The 3rd one was Jean, Phoenix, Madeline Pryor, Goblin Queen, girl. And then the 4th one, we'll talk about that one when it comes. But
you are really,
it's changing up.
You catching on the details. I didn't catch those details.
I do notice that. Like I said, I'm watching videos and stuff, but I do notice that because I remember the first 2 are different. So you kind of watch the intro like, what do they add? Because remember, you made mention of that.
The animation?
Yeah, the
Marvel
animation. It didn't say Marvel Studios. It said Marvel Animation. So I noticed that. I'm paying attention to that a little bit. So, yup.
You're on your game.
So going into the episode, what were your kind of expectations, and do you want to? How about you give a brief rundown of the whole episode, and then we'll talk about what we liked, didn't meet your. How do you want to do it,
Jim? How's that rundown coming down?
it's
a big thing about Mr. Bear and me. We love movies and quotes and stuff like that. So we randomly throw something at you.
A Dundee. So he just said, "How's that rundown?" That's from The Office. That's a whole different podcast.
That podcast is on Friday night, so tune into that one.
Let's do after the cliffhanger. What were your expectations moving forward? And then you can run down the episode, and then we'll go about likes and dislikes. Okay. So what were your expectations based off of the cliffhanger?
Based off the cliffhanger, not watching the next episode, I was really excited. Like, I'm like, okay, shoot, they're throwing some surprises in there right away, and I'm just like, dang, this next episode is probably going to be like a 3-2-parter, you know what I mean? Because that's intense. Like, you have clones, and then they just had a baby together, and then it's like, what's gonna happen here? You know what I mean? So I was like,
Jerry Springer.
I'm just like, oh, okay, whose baby is this? Where is that testing at? This is. It was so. I was excited for it. It just really threw me off the loop, and so that's why I was kind of excited for the next episode. And me, like, I try to when it comes to these episodes or like other series, it's kind of bittersweet when it comes to like weekly releases, because it's like, okay, you don't get to binge all of it, and then because when there's binging, a lot of spoilers are online and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But also True. It comes back to like, man, we have to wait a whole freaking week for an episode,
I remember that's something I touch base, sorry to throw you off, but like I I said I feel like things are rushed, and I didn't think about that. Now that it's episode by episode, like obviously there's people that saw premieres and stuff and whatnot, but it's cool for us normal people to wait an episode and like, all right, no spoilers. It's not getting rushed, but okay, back to you.
But I think that's good though. Like that, I think it shows how good this series is. Then, if like you can't wait for the next episode because you're obviously engaged into the show. You know what I mean? But yeah. So, but just the cliffhanger, I was really excited. I had some big expectations. Now, where they met in the episode, we can talk a little bit more about that after we hear kind of your expectations after the cliffhanger.
My expectations for the cliffhanger are based off the cliffhanger. We said it before we started the episode that like we're not really comic book heavy readers, so I could just like only imagine like those X-Men nerd diehard ones, you know, like that read the comic books and stuff. They saw that happen and they just knew exactly what was gonna happen, what was coming, and my mind was like, man, I kind of wish I was that way. I wish level, I knew, like, I could call, like, see that stuff and just know. That was kind of not really expectation, but to like see that and then know, like, there's gonna tie in somewhere. It means something because I'm sure there's a comic out there that already explains it. But you know, get along for the ride, basically. Right. You know, I'm excited for the next episode. Like you said, we're looking forward to it.
I do feel like that though when it comes to MCU movies, because I'll come in like. With research and kind of like watch for rumors too that are on Twitter or X, whatever we can call it, and I just call it Twitter Elon. Still, you know.
Thanks, Elon.
Thank you, Elon. But I always talk to one of my other best bros, my brother Austin, and we kind of had this conversation about like, do you want to enjoy the ride or do you want to like spoil your ride, you know? And we say that when like leaks just come out all the time, like rumors, and sometimes they're accurate and sometimes they're not. And he says, I'm at a point now where I just try not to read those things or look into them because it just ruins like the experience in the movie. But me, I'm just like, I can't help it. You know what I mean? I go and read it and I'm like, okay. And this is where it backfired. Not to get off the conversation on this, but when Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, like I'm a big fan of multiverse, and I know a lot of people are getting tired of it. It's played out, but I feel like there's so many stories left to play with multiverse. But anyway, when Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse was coming out, there was all these rumors that there's going to be the 3 Spider-Man that came in, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and there's going to be Ghost Rider in there. There's going to be a little of the old Hulk. And so like just these, because the multiverse, there's so many different opportunities there. And so I'm going into this, I'm like, yes, Tobey Maguire's going to be in. It's just going to be wild, you know? And then you go see Doctor Strange 2, none of that shit happened. You know what I mean?
Was that before the did that come out after Spider-Man?
Oh, yeah. You know, you're throwing me a wrench here. Let's see. I think it came after Spider-Man.
Strange did?
Or before Spider-Man, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I was say, eventually you did get that, then you got it where all the Spider-Mans came together.
Yep.
So, which was another great movie.
I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that, followers.
We'll look at that. Yeah. We'll figure it out.
But so, yeah, just like kind of just keeping yourself in the present and not spoiling those things for you. But yeah.
3 viewers.
Oh, so 3 viewers.
I don't think it's my phone, your phone, and my PlayStation.
Oh. No, actually, I don't think it is.
Watching. I'm sure.
I don't think it is because I'm not on the YouTube app.
Okay. Now we got 1 viewer. So we're scared our viewers away.
Stay here. Oh, we're down to. Oh, okay. We scared them away.
All right. Let's go into episode breakdown. Okay. We can break it down by parts. I'll try to break it down. So it picked up right where it left off. The Jean of the cliffhanger was in the lobby. Beast is starting to run tests because obviously there's 2 Jeans, so something's going on. And Beast is actually the one that discovers she's a clone. The Jean that's been with them is a clone. And she starts to deny it and whatnot. She says, I have all these memories and I did this with you. We just had a baby, like you said. Shit's real. And then from there, I'm trying to think of what else to really talk about. From there, it goes into she's just holding a baby and they're just questioning it. And then she asks Beast to confirm it or try again.
Right, yeah.
Which he does and whatnot. But it leads into like and I have it right here in some of my notes. It's kind of led into like a dark, scary episode.
I'm glad you got that feeling too. Yeah. So, yeah, like the group is just kind of like, I was kind of just like a little shocked on how quick the group were like okay, this isn't our Jean Grey. You know what I mean? Like they
Even
should.
Cyclops.
Yeah,
Because she turns around Scott.
She's like, right?
And then he's like, he's so quiet.
I'm just like, Scott, come on now. Like, do you not know your woman? We all know our women.
He did not, obviously.
I guess not. But yeah, I was just so surprised on how quick they switched up real quick. You know what I mean? But I guess it is a heavy topic. But I was just like, I even felt like you had a child together. So I guess with me and if I went with the spoiler, the clone, the clone, I would have been in wrong. You know what I mean? But yeah, so like it was just interesting to see how quick they switched up real quick. You know?
Oh, that's something I watched a video. It made a kind of quick joke about how the old Jean from the animated series, she always fainted
yeah.
his power. So like it said, the one that during the cliffhanger that we knew that was the real Jean because that was the first thing she did after I need help, and she faints.
That's what I mentioned last time, was like when these powerful mutants start using their power, they start fainting, and people were saying before this new series is coming out, like, man, I hope they don't faint every time.
Yeah. Okay, that's her. She fainted. I forgot I had that written down there, but yeah, she fainted during the cliffhanger. What else? So obviously, the storyline with the two Jeans, it ties back into Mr. Sinister, and he's pretty big bad villain that was in the animated series. I thought they finished him off, got rid of him, but I guess not. He's back, and it turns out that he was the one that cloned. No, I'm not watching the game. He's the one that cloned Jean. They don't know when it happened in the animated series or how long, but like I mentioned, the clone, who we'll call, like you said, the Goblin Queen, who turns out to be the Goblin Queen, turns out to be Madeline Pryor, is the name she chooses at the end. She has all the same memories and the same, and even probably went through some of the stuff that the real Jean didn't go through, right? So, it's chaos.
Chaos. And I'm glad you mentioned that too. Like that was like, I don't know if like it was like a tricky way I feel like the writers were being a little tricky in this episode as to like, okay, we're not gonna give you the answer to like when Jean was switched out. We're just gonna leave that up to the viewer's imagination, or maybe they will later down the road. Like, okay, we decided that she was switched right before her and Scott got married, because then, like you said, at the end they were going back and forth, and I love that they were supportive with each other. That honestly is kind of weird too, because like Madeline Pryor or the two Jeans were supportive. Like they were supportive, but like you gotta think it's kind of weird at the end. Madeline Pryor, the clone, her name is Madeline Pryor. That's what she decided to call herself at the end. But that's her baby that she had with Scott. You know what I mean? And so like now this Jean that didn't have that baby with her, it's almost like, okay, I'm like the side piece coming to take care of your kid while you go and take off and find yourself. You know what I mean? And then we don't know if that's part of the episode. I don't know if we want to say that yet.
Okay, I was gonna say, well, we don't know. We'll talk about the end.
Well, I did want to add it to what made me bring that up was, so at the end when they're talking, they both shared like, I don't know when I have the same memories that you do. I remember all of it. So they even said, well, I don't know which one actually married Scott, which one actually was like the Phoenix during the Phoenix saga. So like she could have been taken a while ago, you know what I mean? Or she couldn't have, could have been just recently. But like I said, I think the writers were kind of leaving it up to the viewer's imagination, I guess, on that. And I just don't know if I kind of like that.
What is your take? Like, do you think it happened more recent? I think it's more recent because the clone, to have those memories, obviously the real Jean had to go through all that stuff, right? Does that make sense? How do you think that works?
Well, see, I don't see that you make a good
cloning
point.
the mememories that you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. Like, I feel like Mr. Sinister could easily be like, I don't know, because at one point you see in an episode that shows both of them laying by each other. You know what I mean? And we just don't know. Like, maybe there's some way that they're drawing the memories from Jean. I don't know. It's chaos, a lot. Yeah, chaos.
Let's kind of stay towards. So we introduced the episode. Let's kind of stay in the middle. Like I said, it kind of got dark and scary. There's some blood, actually like blood shown and shed in this episode, but there's some parts where like I wouldn't want to watch have my
kid with
watch,
me, right?
Like that's and I don't know, and I think you said something about it being a little more PG or something last year when it was back in the animated series on our last episode. And then I want to jump in there and say, you remember this episode, but you didn't watch it yet at the time. So now
I understood what you were saying.
Yeah, it got dark. It got dark. It got a little scary. There were some callbacks to some horror movies, but what did you like from that dark side of the episode?
So,
what did you take away?
I guess before I go in my spiel, have you seen the movie New Mutants?
No.
Okay.
It's a movie though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe it's.
I saw it, and then I remember I think I asked you about it, and you kind of gave me a little spiel on it, but then I was like, oh, it doesn't sound like something I'm really.
So before our next episode, because we'll talk about it next time. I think it's on Hulu and Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. But carve out some time and watch some New Mutants, because the only reason I say that is this episode, it was horror, you know what I mean? And that's the whole premise, that originally with the premise of the New Mutants movie was it was going to be a horror based kind of X-Men film. And here now you're like, how's that going to work? How do you make that work? But they tried to make it horror-ish, but it wasn't as scary as you think it was. And I wouldn't even consider it a horror movie at this point, but it's decent. I guess it's not the best.
Was it supposed to like carry on and it didn't get good reviews, or what happened?
So yeah, that could be a whole nother episode too, but that project was greenlit, then it was stopped, it reshoots, and then it was going to be released in the theaters, and then they pulled it completely and said it wasn't going to be released. And then finally they decided to release it online, but there wasn't a lot of like promotion for it. It was just like, well, let's just put it out there and get it over with. You know what I mean? And so
I see on YouTube there's videos out there that's like the X-Men movie you probably never watched. That's probably it.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
So yeah, tune into that, because I only said that because I feel like there was a lot of similarities with New Mutants and this episode. Yeah, like there was a lot of horror and kind of pulling. And when I say that is like, I feel like Madeline Pryor was pulling like their own insecurities and their own inner demons and things like that, and manipulating them and using that to like kind of fear and scare them, whatever. And that's kind of similar in New Mutants. Like they all kind of have their own challenges they're going through, and there's just a mutant in the movie that makes that happen in a way, whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a different approach and interesting. It did work, and it, like you said, it made me feel kind of uncomfortable just because of the art design and like especially that scene with Gambit catching them, and like they're all like kind of fused together, then they're melting, and just like really weird, you know. And even Gambit kind of after that, he comes out of that door, he's like, that's one thing Gambit can't unsee.
What's he say when he first walks in? Say it ain't so. Or something. Yeah. Waiting to charge that card.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought
that was pretty trippy. You know, obviously, spoiler alert. He walks in on that room, and then Magneto and Rogue, who is kind of left off the last episode, said, so they got a thing going on, which we both don't approve of. But they're kind of like intertwined, and like they're bond. They're like
they're caressing each other, holding each other. But
they're holding each other, but like their skin's connected.
Yeah,
it was kind of a weird thing. Was that the first thing that popped off though?
No, well, visually, yeah, because that was another part I wanted to get into. Question for you, because Morph, he actually has experience with Sinister, and so it kind of starts with him. Like the episode starts with Gambit. Well, not starts with it, but there's a point where Gambit, Wolverine, and Morph are leaving a danger room after a session, I assume. And anyways, it's like, I think they said, do you want to go back in there again, or you guys want another round? And then Morph's going through like the schedule, and like, oh, well, it looks like Magneto and Rogue are really practicing their endurance, you know? Yeah, it goes like, I feel like it goes all the way to Sunday. It's like a Friday, and then Gambit kind of just walks off, whatever. And then Wolverine just jokes like, hey man, take it easy on him, you know? And so then he's like, well, what about you, Wolverine? You want to, go another round or something like that? And then he's like, no, I got something to do. I'm going to go check out the genes or whatever, or one of them.
No, yeah.
But then anyways.
He's like, I got a redhead.
Yeah, or at least one of them. And so then this was what I get into it. So then when these manipulations start happening, Morph is going into the shower room, and I think one of them calls to him. And so then he's like, Wolverine, is that you? And then he turns into Wolverine's like fist, whatever. He's like, is there a scratch that you need, or is there a scratch you
is there an area where a hard to reach area you need scratched? And he pulls out his claw.
Yeah, so okay, I don't know if I'm reading into this, but give me your thoughts on this. So like the episode before, he turned into Sabretooth to kind of help Wolverine heal or whatever, because like at the end of, he was feeling some kind of way because it shows Wolverine in like a tree, and he comes and they start wrestling and fighting. And then this is another
the Sixer, and then he's like he changes into
yeah. And then this scene, Morph is like really open to like getting in a shower with Wolverine. So like, do you feel Morph is maybe bisexual or gay or has some kind of feelings towards Wolverine?
I think that's one of the negative things that a lot of people on the videos that are reviewing him and stuff, they're kind of saying, oh, X-Men's too woke and stuff like now with that they made, because I think, did we discuss Morph is non-binary? Did we?
We did not. I don't remember that conversation.
I thought I brought it up the first episode, but they identified him as non-binary.
Okay, I did not know that.
That played a part in his whole
design
and stuff and whatnot. But that's what the vibes, and that's one of the reviews that I watched. It said that Morph does have like a thing for Wolverine.
Okay. So you knew that then. Okay, yeah.
Because a little joke said
yeah. Okay, so I didn't know that knowledge there. So that makes me see kind of things, and I'm glad, honestly. I'm cool with it. Like, I think it's cool. You know what I mean?
It doesn't bother me none.
And then,
I mean, it's funny. Like I said, it's funny. He comes in with his claws and whatnot. And then just the when he brought the beer and turned into Sabretooth. Because, like, my boy Wolverine kind of needs a person like that, you know? A friend and whatnot. And because he doesn't have a lot of friends. So he doesn't, like, draw
he's like he sets that kind of like boundary where he doesn't like a lot of the
even in the animated series. He was really like, when Morph died, he took it really hard.
He did, huh?
So like he really took, that's like Wolverine really sees him as a friend. You know? So I'm with it. With the jokes.
Cool.
And all that stuff.
Cool. Okay.
But that was the start of it. Yeah. So Morph turns into Wolverine, and then someone else said that so Morph faced, and I thought this was pretty cool. Morph faces his biggest fear, which is Mr. Sinister. He sees him in his eye, right? And the last thing you see is he's like, oh, they made mention that Morph transforms into the most dangerous person he knows, and it was Wolverine's claw. So I thought it was pretty cool, but I was like, oh, you just left out the part which you said, like, no, he had a claw because he was trying to joke around with Wolverine. So it made me think of that. So I thought it's pretty funny. But from the shower scene, it goes into the Gambit scene, and then is that when it went into the B scene, or what was next after that? Was that Jubilee and Sunspot? We can still talk about.
Okay, because
so, like the B scene. No, that was later because he's on the roof after it's all going down.
I feel like he didn't really get too much trauma from this. He just seemed like he's like, well, I think you're on the wrong floor. But what was the other one? It was Scott. Remember?
Scott sees he like in his room after it got damaged because Madeline Pryor acted up. You know, or Sinister came. Did we talk about?
We did. We missed that part.
No, so Sinister comes in, starts talking to Madeline Pryor through the baby monitor, and gets her to like snap and like turn into the Goblin Queen. Starts using her powers. And then it gets into all those scary scenes that we were talking about. So that's how Mr. Sinister kind of shows us that he's back. And
he kind of explained like he made a clone because their genetic sequence or their inner blood is really unique, and that was his goal, is then to have a baby. His goal
in the animated series too, right? Was it to get Cyclops and Jean? He wanted to make a baby, have them, and use their clone and whatever. So that's where Sinister is.
Yep.
So all that scary scenes go down. We talked about Morph's little scene, and then we talked about who's the other one we talked about? Gambit seeing Rogue and Magneto. And then one of the other scenes was Jubilee and Sunspot on the couch, which you can go into.
Okay, yeah, and I was trying to remember, like, were they in that episode? Because I haven't watched it for a couple of days, and now you sparking my memory. But yeah, so then they were just kind of watching a movie together, and at one point that character in a screen looks at them, and then they're like, "Whoa, did you see that?" And he's like, "What?" And then on there, the person starts talking, I think Portuguese, and just saying like, "You're a dirty mutant" and all that, because then, if you're not catching on, but Roberto is kind of having those identity crisis with being a mutant, and he don't want to, and so they start coming out of the TV and start coming towards her, and then that being opens its mouth, and I think it's his mom that comes out, and it's his mom's face, and his mom's like down. Like I feel like it was more focused on Roberto and his insecurities rather than Jubilee.
Yeah, Jubilee wasn't really.
Yeah, and I think maybe that because like that's when you're most vulnerable, when you know like your insecurities and like your fears like that, you know what I mean? But yeah, so then that was a piece, and then finally they kind of like link up in a hallway together, and then they Madeline Pryor kind of puts him like in a fire pit. Is that right? Yep.
So like in the Inferno area, take him under the mansion. But we mentioned, or we forgot to mention, Scott's scary scene.
Oh yeah.
Cyclops. So he's in the room. I think he's picking stuff up, and there's like a teddy bear on the chair or something, and it like twists and like transforms into like an evil version of Professor X, and he says, "That's a demerit, boy. 5
Oh yeah.
That's 5 points or something."
Yeah.
Because that's his biggest fear is letting Professor X down, and that's something that Professor X would say to him.
I forgot about
when he
that.
let him down. And then we mentioned the Beast one.
But do you think there was a meaning for the Beast one? I was still kind of confused with the connection there because it was just like a weird monster.
And like
face.
you said, he wasn't scared. Beast wasn't really scared. But I think that's just Beast like understands like
he's too intellect to like fall for something like that.
Fall for something like so he kind of just makes a joke of it, kind of like both of us are one of us is on the wrong floor. But no, back to like the Jubilee one. I mentioned that it makes callbacks to some horror movies, so that scene it called back to The Ring. Remember, The Ring comes out on TV. And then there's a movie called like The Thing or something, where that monster looks like that. And then there's one more, but I forgot what it was. I forgot what the video said. But that was pretty cool. I thought, like I said, it was a dark, little scary moments here and there. But then, like you said, it eventually gets them down into the pit where they actually have to start fighting and whatnot. There was a zombie sentinel that they had to fight. Well,
first I think before they get to the fire pit, they all go into like the main commons area. They're like, "What the heck's going on?" And that's when Madeline Pryor announces herself as Goblin Queen, and then they're like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And I thought this scene, I don't know, I'll share that for like one of my likes of the episode towards the end.
Okay.
Or do you want to go into that, or just kind of talk about that?
We can keep going. Just keep going. However, we'll make it work.
Yeah. So then they all kind of come together. Magneto's there and everything, and then they go into the fire pit or whatever. And well, no, they actually go. They're not at the mansion. Sorry. So once they kind of overcome that fear sequence, whatever, Morph's like, I know where Mr. Sinister is. I don't want to go there, but I will. You know what I mean? I don't.
No, you're right. The fire pit takes place at the mansion.
Oh, does it? Okay. And so I thought they said, well, we go to I know where they're at, so they go to that church. And
they go there after the mansion and after the fire pit because remember, the original Jean, spoiler alert, comes in and she's the one that stops that battle.
At the church? At
the mansion, I believe, right? With the astral projections.
Uh-uh.
But like all the X-Men, Wolverine's in the fire pit. He doesn't go to the church with them, though. He stays at the X mansion.
Okay.
So the fire pit happens at the mansion.
Okay.
What you're saying with Morph?
She does
Morph
come.
does give us a little run back of like a reminder of who Sinister is, what he did to him. He actually transforms back into original animated series Morph with the black eyes.
Yeah.
Remember that?
He looks kind of zombie.
That happens at the thing. But I mentioned the zombie sentinel. I thought it looked like because he had like horns. It looked like the big monster on Thor Ragnarok. It wasn't him, but it was a sentinel. They just wanted it to look like a demon sentinel or something. But
yeah, you're right, because Jean was asleep, and then that's when she first comes into the episode and uses her mind powers, and then that's when they stop.
Again.
Yeah, then that's when they go to the church. Okay, yeah, you got me on track there.
All right.
Okay,
you're good. So fire pit is a part that I like. We'll come back to that. So they go to a church. Morph tells them, like I said, reminds us and says, I know where Sinister's at. So Magneto, Cyclops, Morph. Who was the other one?
Was Rogue there?
Might have been Rogue. Was it Rogue? I don't know. Maybe. No, I think Magneto would have told her to stay, like, thinking, like, okay. I'm going to protect you. Like, was it B? No, Beast was running his tests.
I think it was just a handful of them. I don't think it was a whole lot of them.
It wasn't everybody, no. It was...
Because at one point, they turned Morph against them.
Was Gambit? I don't know. There was only a handful of them that went to go and confront her and try to get... Because she left with the baby.
Baby Nathan.
Baby Nathan. So Cyclops, Magneto, and Morph. For sure, those three. I know those three went. They go and confront her, and they end up getting to a pretty nice battle where we see some more cameos and whatnot. You want to talk about the battle real quick? Yeah,
so then Goblin Queen, like, she introduced herself at the church, whatever, and has her amazing transformation, and I think it was cool because she even like manipulated Morph real quick and turned him kind of evil.
She did.
Yeah, and he turned into Magic, which is Colossus's sister.
Yeah,
and he even, it was great because it even like had the accent. Well, there was like the regular version, and then when I think he's turned into her first as like to use it as a power, you know what I mean? And then she manipulates him.
The blonde-haired one, yep, to her first to like fight her, and then there's a dark version of who he transformed into, which is who he transforms into when Goblin Queen like turns it.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so they just start fighting and things like that, and even Magneto can't hold his part. That's one of the things I want to come back to. And then at one point, Jean, because Beast is back at the thing, because he's like, oh my god, you need to get them on the comms or whatever, because when people do genetic work, they leave like a signature, and I know who this is. They're really sinister. And so
only one person can be as sinister
as this. Yeah. So it's like one of those corny one-line things. Yeah.
But we already knew like it was sinister, right?
Yeah.
The baby monitor and stuff happened before that, but them being them, they had to introduce them in a real corny way, but it was cool. And
so then Jean, they're like, Jean, you're in no condition to fight. Like, she's like, well, I don't have to be there physically. It's my mind or something. And so she astral projects herself there, and Cyclops is making out with fucking Madeline Pryor, like, motherfucker, you're there for a reason, So then you're fighting, you're not making out. So it gets there, and then they kind of have like a mind battle where they go through some memory sequences as when Jean was little, and when Professor Xavier first meets her, and then also when their powers are activated, their friend, I can't remember her name.
I don't remember it either, but I just remember she got hit by the car
and she died, right?
She died, and
that's what activated her powers. And then she mentions the Phoenix. She's like, there's so much power, and then she's like, yeah. And then that's when Madeline Pryor's like, this is my power. And she's like, well, that's all you want to be known for. That's all you want is the power. And then they kind of just go through it and understand why they're together and the importance of Nathan. And then she kind of like snaps too, right? Madeline Pryor
does, yeah.
And then her and Cyclops go, and
because Jean's not there physically, so Jean kind of did her job. All right,
girl,
out of it. You don't even have your baby anymore right now. Motherfucker's in a tube, getting tested on
a green tube or green liquid.
So Sinister earlier, before that happened, gets baby Nathan and starts and puts him in this, what do they call it? Vat, it's a fucking
test tube
chamber thing, fills it up with this green liquid and starts running his tests and starts trying to produce the best mutant whatever, so he can clone that mutant and have an army basically. So like we said, Jean goes there mentally in spirit and just talks Madeline Pryor out of it, makes her come to her senses, and she then teams up with Cyclops and goes and confronts Sinister, and they end up getting their baby back at a price, which you can talk about.
Yeah, so then Cyclops shoots the vat and gets her son out of there, and then Sinister's like, you guys just doomed your child, basically, and then disappears. And as soon as they get their kid eyes turn lightly red, and then there's like this green stuff that starts going on his skin. And so it would have been cool if they had a dream sequence with Bishop. I think that was a missed opportunity.
A dream sequence?
Or like that fear sequence, you know what I mean? I would like to see like what his fears were like.
Oh, they did. They showed his sister.
Oh, they did, huh? Because she had an
I knew we were forgetting one.
Yeah, okay.
They showed his sister. You left me. Remember? Yeah. I didn't know who it was. I had to go back and watch. But him and his sister were in, obviously he's a time traveler, Bishop is. And he's in the current time with this 97 series because he was supposed to go forward and like find his time bracelet broke and shit. That's why I think Beast.
Well, did he come back to stop the Sentinels and stuff?
He came back before. He came back multiple times. Time jumped around.
Oh, okay.
But that's one thing. Like I think he's been gone for a while, longer than his sister expected. So then one of his fears, feeling like
let her down,
guilt that his sister feels like, oh, you left me here. So. He did see. I remember that now that you mentioned it. Okay.
But yeah, so then they're like Bishop. Then they take the baby back to the X Mansion. They're like, hey, this is just too advanced. We don't have the technology now to treat baby Nathan. And then Jean's like, well, can you take him to the future, Bishop, with you? And they've got to have tools to fix this, right? Because it's like a digital virus or something like that. Technovirus. And so and so they end up well, then that's what I was disappointed in. So Scott's like, so I'm gonna abandon him. I'm gonna separate from him. And they're like, no, we need to do this.
His daddy issue.
Yeah. Then he's like, you guys ever been abandoned before?
He was real passionate. Yeah, he was real passionate at the time. He's like, I'm not abandoning my son. And then like 30 seconds out,
I'm not gonna be a part of this. Yeah, I'm just like, dude, what
you're abandoning your son. You just said you weren't gonna do that.
He ain't even left yet.
You haven't even changed a diaper.
So yeah, that part caught me.
Because he was like real passionate how he did it. None of you know what it feels like. Then he just walks out. I was like,
I can't be a part of this, and heads off. I was just like, come on, dude.
Crazy.
Shoot.
That was crazy.
If you don't want to be a dad, then just say that. Shit.
So that's kind of like the whole episode. Like you mentioned that Jean and Madeline Pryor have a moment at the end where she denounces, I'm not the Goblin Queen, I'm Madeline Pryor, and comic book nerds know that's a whole storyline. Good things that we liked about the episode. Anything? I'm trying to think of something else. Was there a cliffhanger for this? Yeah, well, the cliffhanger for this one was Storm
meeting Forge.
She's in her cool leather outfit with the mohawk, and she gets to meet Forge. Forge is his mutant powers. He's really smart and can create shit that some people couldn't. People that don't have powers wouldn't be able to create. He's really smart, and so that was a cliffhanger for that. Overall, episode 3, things that you liked, things that you disliked.
Excuse me. So I like one thing that I liked.
And if we both like the same thing, I'm just gonna butt it in.
Okay, yeah. Don't feel like
I think we did that last time, and it kind of worked.
Yeah, just butt in. It's fine. We love it. We're passionate. But one thing I liked is when they were the church, Magneto was there, and like Magneto's so powerful. Like he's like a Omega 5 or Omega level mutant, but he does use some metal or whatever. And then even the Goblin Queen calls him out like, "Oh, you're the master of magnetism." But basically, I'm paraphrasing, of course. But basically, that's it. And she pulls like the glass from the windows from the church and like starts cutting him up on it. And he's like cannot handle it. He's trying to block it with all the metal he has access to. And she just hands it to him. He can't handle it. He ends up getting defeated. And I was like, that is so amazing. And I love the art style that they did with that because the murals are so colorful too. And like eventually, like she makes all those mural pieces go towards him, and it's just like really colorful. But yeah, I thought that was an amazing moment.
That was like the first thing I have written down is that battle.
Yeah,
because it went from the previous episodes. Oh, you see how badass Magneto is, and he's a threat when even if he doesn't have access to metal, he like with the guns they weren't metal, so he grabs the fucking helicopters and he's going to use that.
Right.
But in this it's like a full 180, and like you said, it shows how strong Jean Grey, the Phoenix, how she actually can be. She's also Omega level mutant, right? So
yeah, and I'm just like, this is
that's the part where like I was like, oh, there's bloodshed, like because she cuts him and shows blood, like
he's all bloodied, yeah, and like he falls to the ground and you see like
he's down for a bit.
Yeah, he's down and his
I think that's like
destroyed.
Part of, like what made me like it is kind of a reminder, like outside of their powers, like not all of them have superhuman strength. Some of outside of being able to control metal, like I don't think Magneto has anything else, right? He could just control metal.
He has trauma.
Which is still pretty like a cool thing, but like he can't what's the word, revive and rejuvenate himself, like rejuvenate.
It's alright. It's part of it.
Like Wolverine and some other mutants, but so that was kind of like a shocker, just like, damn, she just took down Magneto.
Took my boy down real quick, So wasn't you just having
cool.
the UN up in the sky last week?
Yeah. One thing I like the battle at the in the fire pit when Cyclops charges a bishop with his beam, and then he like magnifies it off and he fights that was pretty cool. I thought that was cool. Because that's Bishop's power. He can
absorb energy,
like kinetic energy, absorb it, and then he can output it. So that was pretty cool.
I'm curious to like what he can't, because then at the end of the episode, they did like a breakdown of like what like the credit scenes. It shows like a little.
Is Bishop on there?
Yeah, Bishop in one of his things it says can absorb most energies, and I'm just like,
remember on the I'm sure you can like overcharge, right? Because that's how they killed him in the Days of Future Past movie.
Yeah,
they just fucking
they did not give him justice.
They're blowing up and shit.
Yeah.
I didn't like that Bishop though.
You didn't?
I feel like he was kind of like. Obviously, he's like kind of rushed, and there wasn't like no backstory, and you didn't know really know that Bishop, like what Bishop can do.
You know, it would have been nice if it was a 2-parter movie. Now that I think about it, that is a really...
like I don't think that's what made this new like Marvel Cinematic Universe is they played with you like that. I don't know, back in like Fox, and maybe it's just money issues, like they couldn't afford it at the time. But like, yeah, I agree. Like, there's movies that should have been like 2-parters and stuff like that. Because people that reviewed that movie like, oh, it was a different director for that movie. Compared to the first couple X-Men movies or something. So I agree. Should have been a 2-parter. Back to episode 3. Thing that I liked, the battle scenes, like I said, Bishop getting charged up. What else was one more thing that I'm trying to think of something else that I liked. I can't think of something. Something that I disliked. Again, no Wolverine action, obviously, as you can see. Big Wolverine fan. Said it last week. And then I'll just say it now, even going into the next episode. Not a lot of Wolverine action. But like we said, we hear X-Men and we just automatically think, you know, Wolverine's...
Kind of like the mascot in a way about it.
Yeah, like I got to see more of him. But like, there's so many stories and characters that they're touching base on, and you got to get away from him. Which
and it's tough because it's one of your favorite characters, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I definitely hear you on that.
No Wolverine action, and something that you disliked. You got a couple. Or did you have more likes that you want to talk about?
So I guess this is just kind of general and overall episodes I'm kind of learning. Like, there's so much intensity in these stories, and like kind of just what we said. Like, some can kind of be extended into more projects, but we need longer episodes. I just feel like it's a whole lot. I would want hour episodes, 45-minute hour or 45 to an hour minute episodes. Like, I feel like we're getting the thick of it, and
is that there 45 minutes or what are they?
No, they're like, yeah, not even 30 minutes, like 20, 25. But we need longer episodes, and that's going to be another thing that I'm going to address in this next episode. But yeah, so just longer episodes. And like, I feel like they started out really strong. Like, okay, here's another version of Jean Grey. Jean Grey is like one of the most powerful X-Men or humans, and then she heads the hell out, and I'm just like, damn, okay, you know,
Madeline
like,
Pryor.
Yeah, Madeline Pryor just like
OG Jean still here.
Yeah,
and like as far as like being like, I just woke up from however long I was asleep or being cloned. I came back, walked here, I fainted. I was still able to go and basically defeat this other, you know, clone of me. So it just still shows like how strong.
And you know, think
Jean
about it. Like,
is.
How did she escape? Was that part of the process? What was that? Probably, did she just wake up and leave, or was she?
Just woke up.
I'm going now. I'm gonna head back home now. And then it just shows her at one point where she's like,
that's a lot.
Sees the battle at the trial for Magneto, and then she's like, "There's home. I'm going home."
Yeah.
Like, well, where the hell did you come from? Where was you? You know. So maybe in another episode they'll explain a little bit more on that. Maybe that's why they didn't go into the detail about that. But I
mentioned it, like you said. You wish the episodes are longer, and like I said, this is the downside of the era we're in now, and things get rushed. I feel like things get rushed.
Do you feel like these episodes are rushing?
The episode 3 did, I feel. Because like you said, it introduced a lot. Introduced the Goblin Queen, and it introduced like Sinister. But I feel like they do their best to kind of tell you. Like I said, Morph kind of gave us a
kind of backstory
into who Sinister is and whatnot. So I think they're trying to, you know, share as much as they can. But like we said earlier, then we also kind of want to leave it up to our imaginations, and that's part of it, you know, like is wondering and having discussions like this on So, but I do think it can be rushed, though. That's my overall view on that stuff. So Easter egg I wrote down one I read somewhere, or I watched something that said you mentioned when Gambit and Morph and Wolverine come out of the danger room, on the screen it says Saturday, and it said, I think it's like 5 to 6 or a certain time, and that was the original. Apparently, it was the original Fox TV time block that X-Men showed on
5 to 7,
5 to 6 or 5 to 7 or something like that.
In the morning
time block. No, in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Because it re-aired.
Oh, okay.
On Saturday mornings or something.
That's cool.
I can't remember how it worked, but something. I remember reading something about that, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then, like you said, it was funny that, it's booked. Second row of Magneto. Yeah. Oh, and that too. Like, also saw something that maybe Magneto's trying to teach Rogue how to use her powers so she can be with Gambit, which I kind of don't think. I'm kind of rooting for that side, but I don't think it's.
Now we're kind of just lying here.
Yeah, we're getting so. Any other dislikes that you have? Any Easter eggs you wanted to touch on that you saw? Trivia? You got a trivia for me?
A trivia for this episode?
Or if you got it for the next, it can wait.
Yeah, I don't have a trivia right now. I'm sorry. I'll have one for you for episode 4. I totally spaced it out.
Cool.
Do we want to take a brief commercial break?
Yeah, we take a break. We'll take a quick little break here. We'll be right back
for episode.
And we are back. All right. Just got done with episode 3. Episode 3, Fire Made Flesh. Overall, thumbs up, thumbs down, 1 out of 10. You'll give it a
7. 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
I would have to agree. 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's the lack of Wolverine.
Lack of Wolverine. The only
coming.
reason.
I know it's coming.
No story structure or plot points. It's because of lack of Wolverine.
Mm-hmm. It was good. Like we said, it took a turn and it was scary. Like I said, were you surprised with the episode though? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I always
remember we ended last week. I was like, oh, you're in for a surprise, because I just thought like the horror side of it, like the bloodshed a little bit. I thought that would really like make you like, dang, like they're really going for it, you know? So,
yeah, it was a different episode from the first two, so yeah, I was definitely surprised.
Marisol said, "Where'd you guys go?" Reload. Had to reload, Marisol. Reload.
Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us.
It's supporters like you that make this show possible.
I was just saying that the boys were watching TV earlier. I think it was like Daniel Tiger, and at the end of it, those PBS shows. This show is made possible by PBS viewers and how do you remember like as a kid hearing that?
Yeah, this show is made possible by supporters like you, like PBS viewers like you. So thank you for your support. Yeah.
So I thought that was funny. So that's when you said that. You make this happen, Marisol. Thank you. Let's go into episode 3 or episode 4. Excuse me. Episode 4 is titled cliffhanger. We said.
Storm
meets Forge. We'll get into Forge this episode. Episode 4, Motendo. Am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm,
you know, Life Death Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of answers your dislike for your for the last episode, which was I thought it was kind of cool. So I'm gonna break it down a little bit. Episode introduction.
Okay. Yeah. So where we start is the team is together. Seemingly maybe lunch or dinner. But they're together and Magneto's there. Breakfast because they're having coffee. Yes, you're right. And so.
I drink coffee now, so I know. You can drink coffee whenever you want, but I think more people drink coffee in the morning, so we're saying breakfast.
I'm still an energy drink person, so maybe I'll shift over to coffee one day. We'll see. But
the flavor's not there, but the effect is. So.
And maybe that's what I've heard. So you can't have both or best of both worlds. It's either the energy or the taste, you know.
Yep.
But so yeah, we're back to the team having breakfast there, and there's some little kind of rivalry there with Rogue and Remy LeBeau, aka Gambit. And then I think Magneto's just like, okay, we need to get into the danger room and start harnessing our skills a little bit more, improve. And then Wolverine, and I love it. Wolverine kind of like
sticking up.
Yeah, like hey, like
brother.
Yeah, like really.
Actually,
just kind of
Beast was the one who says. I think the youngest member of our should enjoy some jubilation for her 18th birthday or something. Which so that it's Jubilee's 18th birthday this episode, and then Wolverine says, "I agree with the blue Rogaine advert or something, just giving him shit because like that's another one. Like even in the Days of Future Past, Wolverine's always like giving Beast
one
shit
chops to him, huh? Yeah,
always talking. So like I said, with Wolverine, you're not getting a lot of like comedy from him, humor, but when you do, it's just subtle and it makes you chuckle. So go ahead, back to you.
So then Jubilee happens to come in and she's just like, it's my 18th birthday and I want to go to the arcade. She's like, call it old fashioned, but I want to spend some time at the arcade. And Magneto just like is not vibing with it. And I think at one point he says, I would never see the massive magnetism in a what was the word?
Something like child something
make believe, you know. And then so then she's in her room with Roberto with Sunspot, and then just like,
well, we gotta call him Roberto because he's not Sunspot
officially
so
yet.
I still don't know
their names, huh? Yeah, it's I think it's Roberto da Costa.
Yeah, sounds like a comic book name.
Yeah. And so, so then they're in there talking, and she's like, man, I really want to go, da-da-da. And he's like, not a gamer. He's like, well, and then she's like, well, look at this. Rogue did say there was some surprises for me, and there's like a Motendo, like a makeshift game console in her room and stuff like that. And she's like, well, let's play that. And these wires and things come out of the game system, attack Roberto first, lays him on the bed, and then goes after Jubilee. She's kind of trying to fight it, and then she goes down, and then they wake up in the same room. And I don't know if you want to take a little bit more on, or do you want me to keep going?
No, you
okay. And
you
so
want me to? I mean, I can.
I'll go a little bit more than you can go into. My mouth is dry. Nah. So then, this is one. Okay, so kind of off subject, but this was one comment I got from one of our previous viewers is there's like, yeah, you did good. You kind of dominated the conversation last time. I'm like, oh my gosh. I said I felt like that too, and I was like, I was trying not to like make this one-sided. You know what I mean? So I want to share this outlet with you. So
you're my guest. I'm like you're my guest. You're my co-host, but like I'm just like to hear what you had to say. I try to talk because I feel the same way. Like I feel like I talk too much sometimes and don't give you opportunities to talk. So
I just think there's a lot of passion and it just comes from there. So like I said, feel free to button. Don't think you're like being like that. So yeah,
butt away.
Yeah, butt away. And so they're in the game, and then I feel like it's kind of one of those cheesy like 90s shows where like they didn't realize they were in a game, because then they wake up when they are in a game, they don't know it yet. Roberto's like, oh, I must have won. How long have we been playing? And then they hear boom, and then a Sentinel comes, grabs Roberto, and then Jubilee jumps on the hand, and she's like, oh, where's the mansion at? And I'm like, okay, guys, come on now. Like, do you not know you're in a game, you know? And so then, they're in there, and then they are fighting the Sentinel. Then those freedom fight, not the freedom fighters, what are they called?
Friends of Humanity.
Friends of Humanity are there.
Fuck out of here. That's how I remember. Fuck out of here.
And so they have their hand cannons. I didn't realize that. And then there's like a telephone ringing. They get into this telephone booth. They transport to Geonosia, right?
Yep.
And that's crazy, because then Jubilee calls it the old Geonosia, and there's a new Geonosia, so we can go a little bit more about that later. And then they're getting chased by some guards from Geonosia. Then eventually, what's his name? Not Mojo. What's his name?
Yeah, Mojo.
Is it Mojo? Mm-hmm. Mojo introduces himself, pulls him, and just kind of gives a premises like, yeah, I did TV before and not doing great, so I pivoted over to video games. And who would be my first person to pull in? It was you, Jubilee, because you're a gamer and you're all about it. Want to use it on you and test it on you. So this is where we're at now to get more views. And so just kind of that premise, like using video games and using Jubilee's interest for that. And yeah, you can take it off from me.
Can I jump in now?
Yeah, you can jump in now.
All right. So like you said, Mojo is I didn't really look into him. The things that I did watch is like he's an extraterrestrial, like a different dimensional being, and he basically loves attention and loves, like, so like you said, he's in TV,
like entertainment, huh?
Yeah, like entertainment. So like, and someone said, oh, it's kind of like a spoof or like a parody on like TV directors. They're being big fat lazy guys, and just love the attention, and they're just getting hauled around and whatnot. So that's that portrayal of Mojo, and he just gets kicks out of it. They actually fought him in the animated series, but like,
yeah, this is like their first encounter, huh?
Because in this intro for this episode, it actually shows Jubilee fighting Mojo from the past, and then this, like we said earlier, for this episode is Jubilee that does the introduction previously on. So
I'm gonna start paying attention to those
Storm,
now
no
more.
Bishop.
Yep. Okay.
There's a lady that makes an appearance earlier in the episode when they first get to Genosha. She's pretty important. She comes back in towards the end. A fun thing that I saw was that the Blob was there, and there's one more other mutant too.
Domino's in the background.
Was it Domino?
Domino was there, and then.
So when they first introduced Genosha in the animated series, Blob, and then it was like a mutant slave place, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I think she referred to as it's the old Genosha, because now it's like a safe haven.
Yeah,
right?
Because I was just watching an episode on that. The old Genosha, yeah, it was like a slave camp. Basically, they enslaved the mutants there to build this dam there, and they had
the
collars, so they couldn't use their abilities.
Their full powers. Yeah, because they obviously need them sometimes to lift heavy shit. Right. So like Blob was hauling shit around, and the funny thing was that Blob and I think it might have been Domino, they were doing the same actions they were doing in the, like, when they first introduced Genosha and showed them. Like they were doing the same stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, back to you. Like you said, they had the collars. Yeah,
the collars, and the old, just to kind of give an idea of what the old Genosha was. It was a slave camp, and so they brought people in, the mutants, to help build it, and they were building a dam there so that dam can power a master mold that can operate Sentinels all across the world rather than just in a region or whatever. And eventually Storm uses her powers to break the dam and foils that plan. But that was old Genosha.
I
Now
know that part of it.
yeah, now it's a like you said, it's a like what would you say, like
Safe haven.
Yeah, safe haven for mutants, whatever.
They ended the last. That's where Magneto set up, right? Was Genosha in the animated series? So that's the Genosha that the X-Men know it as. So the new Genosha. Some cool things on this part of the episode was like the graphics. I thought was pretty cool. Kind of just jumping right into things that I like, I guess, but I don't know. It wasn't a lot. Jubilee ends up fighting Jubilee and Sunspot. They end up fighting
Magneto.
some Sentinels here and there.
Yeah, Sentinels.
And they end up fighting Magneto, like the final boss in that little area, and then end up getting, what would you say,
ripped out of
the current level they're on, because I don't think, because Magneto came back, right? Yeah, he came back, and then the hand comes from up here.
Yeah, it was almost like they're gonna fight again, huh?
Yeah, they're gonna fight it. Like, I don't think she beat Magneto yet, but no shout outs. Lolly says hi. She's a huge fan. What's up,
nice.
Lolly? Thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate y'all.
Sorry. Yep. Thanks for tuning in. Where was I? Hand pulls Roberto. Roberto gets knocked out actually from. Well, actually, sorry. Going back now. First fight. So they go from Genosha, then they end up on. Is that when Mojo? Yeah, Mojo talks to him on the bridge. And then he puts him onto, what was it called? The island. Mirror. Is that right? MUIR. I think that's how it was. Because remember they fight the pterodactyl.
Oh.
It doesn't show, like, it shows them on the screen.
The screen, yeah.
With the old school graphics, which were pretty cool, you know.
Oh, man, I can't remember the name. Yeah, okay, now I get you.
I think it was Mirror Island. Okay. I want to say it was Mirror Island.
For some reason, I feel like Jurassic's in that title, but I could be so wrong because there's dinosaurs in there. But that's when Jubilee is about to die. Yeah,
she gets knocked. That's what I wanted to mention. She gets knocked out, and then she's down, and then Roberto picks her up, and her life gets because of the video game. Her
refills,
life refills. And then she says, "How'd you do that?" And he says, "It wasn't me or whatever." So then it shows Mojo, and what was the girl's name with the arms? Remember?
I remember you're talking
Morph
about.
just turned into her.
Yeah.
But Mojo kind of knows what's going on. He's like, "I told you to get her out of here," blah blah blah. And then she's like, "I did," and she must have found another way. So it wasn't. So there's so many.
This is a new threat. They kind of knew this bug was in a game for a while.
Yeah, because they're in a video game, like we said. So Mojo's up here doing his thing. So they put him onto another level, which is the island. They're fighting. No, we already said that. Now they're on the boss level, and Magneto shows up, evil Magneto, and knocks out Roberto. Whole life's gone. He's flashing, blinking. Jubilee somehow defeats Magneto. It's a video game.
It's crazy when she said that, or when she was talking to Roberto. Yeah, and I beat Magneto. Like, she felt so like confident and amazed. You know what I mean? And it's just like, she obviously could not beat him. And
no, in the game, like, because like we said, they're in a game, and she's like, oh, and it's kind of how it kind of knock on game. It's a boss level. There's a pattern.
Yeah. She was like,
in boss levels on games.
She said he's got to cycle through, and I'll use my opportunities. So I thought that was interesting.
So that's how she defeats him for a little bit. Defeats Magneto. She goes and gets Roberto. He's about to die, and she's like scared because Mojo said, if you die in the game, you die in real life.
Yep.
And then like a flashing green X-Men logo appears, which is extra life, and she gives that to him, and that's when Magneto reappears for the second battle or something, and then that's when the hand reaches in and grabs Jubilee and Sunspot. Anything you want to add before I keep going?
So what I like about this kind of section too is Jubilee is like really into games and just kind of holding on to like the old days and the youth, whatever. And we'll go into a little bit more about that conversation in this next piece. But one thing that Roberto said that kind of like I kind of liked it was what did he say?
Well, you find it?
Yeah, he would say you can be. Oh, so yeah, I said sooner or later you're gonna have to grow up, or reality will hit you in the face, and that's when Magneto hits him, whatever. And so like,
was that he said that right before he gets knocked
out?
Right back at you.
I know, right?
Talk shit to me on my birthday.
And so like, I think we all kind of experience that too. Like, we miss the glory days, and it'd be nice to hold on to those, but eventually life goes on, and there's more life to it. But I think he was just kind of this episode was like a moment for Jubilee to learn, transitioning from a teenager into like an adult for being 18. In a way she's still a teen, but yeah. So just kind of like those story and reminded. I thought that was interesting how he was trying to say that. But I got some beef to pick with Roberto too, but we'll go a little bit more into the story first.
So just kind of feeding off of what MackMan just said, that leads into the next part of the episode. They find out who pulled him out of the game into a glitch, basically, and it's actually a Jubilee clone, you could say, or like an older version of her.
Yeah, so like Mojo, he first had to kind of get a
version.
Beta version, and he created like several pairs to get this right, and so he didn't want to just pull Jubilee and Roberto in right away to something that's not even created or strong enough, whatever. So he created several beta versions, whatever, and unfortunately they grow old in the game
if they don't die.
So,
and the one that pulled them in was the one that found a glitch in the game, basically, and she's living within the game, and she was the one helping them. She was the one putting the extra health and lives out there, and Mojo ends up confronting them. I don't think there's anything really like that she said that's really important, right? Besides like
she just said it's nice to know each level and what's at the end of it. I get a thrill out of it, and that was another piece I like too. She just
I would say that's kind of, she does kind of confirm what you said, like Jubilee, it's time to grow. She basically says Jubilee, it's time to grow up.
Right.
So, that goes into things that I like, but that's not the whole episode. And then so, like I said, Mojo appears. Beta version Jubilee helps fight and defeat Mojo. And then they end up back in the X Mansion. I really don't remember now, actually. They just wake up and...
Yeah, they wake up from in the room and they look over at the Motendo. It's like fried, and in case they start making out, and then the little fireworks start popping off. I'm like, damn, okay.
Okay. Fireworks.
That birthday sex is about to happen.
Yeah, so that was Motendo. Like I said, it was a two-parter, and that's something that Mackie just touched base on. He wishes stories were two-parters, right? Basically, this isn't the same story being told, but it's kind of fit more stories into one episode, which is kind of what you were asking for, and I thought it was pretty cool. So the second part of the episode was called Life Death, which is again a pretty long series in the comic world, which included Storm and Forge. It was like a love story. Do you want to really go through it all?
We can just hit the main points of it, because I know.
Okay, so it's Forge met up with Storm in the bar, the cliffhanger of episode 3. They end up going back to his place. He makes her breakfast. He told her that he can help her get her powers back. So she's really believing in him. He puts her in the machine. What else? They think the machine works. She goes out to try, and her powers didn't work right away or at all. I don't know.
She's discouraged. She starts crying.
She's discouraged. Starts crying, and then Forge tries to talk her down, and then ultimately ends up like telling her like, "I'm kind of the reason why your power's gone," which is a shocker, Then from there, Storm gets mad, takes off on her horse, which I thought was funny here. She takes off on her horse and rides away. And she falls off a cliff, but then falls back into
that cabin. His cabin, right? Yeah,
which is weird. And then this, like I said, another horror part comes. The scary part is, which I wouldn't want my kids watching because it's kind of a scary figure. His adversary. Yeah, it's like a anniversary. It's like a bird thing with human legs. It's a big bird thing. It says he feeds off
misery.
So it's kind of like Jeepers Creepers thing.
Yeah.
And then Forge kind of seems like he knows what it is.
Yeah, I felt that too. He's like, "Get out of my house, you demon!"
Damn demon or something. He says, "Damn demon."
Yeah, damn demon. Okay. What's going on here with skeleton?
From my parents damn demon, and
he even had like some sage burning. No, I'm just kidding.
So it's funny that you say that though, because I'll get back to that. Okay. Anyway, that the bird ends up holding. Did he really have sage burning?
No. Yeah, I got him.
I'll tell you. So then I think Forge gets knocked out, and then the bird wraps their arms around Storm.
And it's crazy that she kind of moves when that bird lets it go, and then like I'm not letting my prey go, and goes and hugs her again. Like not being really aggressive, but it's almost like a parasite and leeching onto her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So couple different, and then how does that episode end?
It just says
defeat the bird.
And then the bird's just like, I won't let my meal go to waste, and then it shows Storm's eyes, and then cuts out from there. No like cliffhanger. Well, kind of a cliffhanger with the situation, you know? Yeah.
Because that whole life death part was part 1. So it's kind of like a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the whole episode, right?
Yeah, so like that's what's on Mr. Bear here, T Bear, that this story alone is really big, and we just meshed two. It's almost like not doing Jubilee justice, and it's not really doing this storyline justice. Yeah,
of course.
You know, so
no knock on Jubilee, but like that's just kind of.
She's kind of like a support. Yeah,
you get an episode, but you don't get a full episode.
We'll give you a piece.
Not even your birthday. But no, like they kind of part 1 went through that life death, like you said. There's a little romance there. That's that whole story. Forge and Storm actually end up in love, are in love, fight, all that stuff. There's a couple different. What's the word I'm looking for? Predictions.
Okay.
Of what's going on in the next episode. Is kid friendly or no, Froggy?
There's not cuss words or any sexual kind of things like that, but just like
our show or our podcast.
Oh,
well,
those are two realms. So
sorry.
Last episode I was trying not to cuss, but since Mr. Bears didn't last time, I wanted to do it.
I think you put something
peer
in my
pressure.
Something in my cup.
Our show, I feel like our show can be kind of raunchy, so I would say probably not for
watch
kids.
With caution.
Yeah, watch with caution. But as for the shows, I think that's, I don't know.
Same.
Would you say? Okay, yeah, watch.
There's no cuss words. There's no cuss words on it.
Pre-watch episodes before watching them with your kids, I guess.
And you make that determination if you want to watch your kids watch it. Life Death. You want to go into what overall thoughts of this episode? Then we'll get into what we liked. And
yeah, what I liked, and it kind of is leading off from the last episode too, like the cliffhanger when Storm was in the bar, and then Forge comes up and starts talking to him. Without even, I didn't know who Forge was before that. So mind you, I had to do my research and see who he was and what his powers were and how he was connected to Storm. But before any of that, I knew that when he came up and it showed him, and I was like, man, in my head, I thought this. I said, this guy looks a Native American, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's like Asian or something like that. You know what I mean? Because he yeah. And so I was like, he looks Native to me, but I'm like, I kind of feel maybe he's not. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But then I started doing my research, and he's Cheyenne, and I'm like, okay, so like me as a Native American indigenous person, I definitely felt like that was a Native American. I don't know how to explain it, but just the way he looked, you know? So I feel like in a way they are kind of like being, you know, there's not one way to knowing what, or there's not one way the natives look, but I sense that, you know what I mean? I sense he was Native American. And then a joke aside of that, and I don't mean to be rude, I just kind of drink. I drink too. I joke raunchy, but I was like, why are they gonna have a Native American up in a bar? You know?
Of course. No.
Nah, just a joke. But I honestly felt like they were trying to be genuine, and you know about that. And so like that made me feel good. Okay, he looks Native American, so I looked into it. He's Cheyenne. You know,
he can cook.
He can share that bison chili.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's bison chili.
And so I would really like this episode. I just feel like it's needs more time for it, and I'm gonna be super upset if this next episode is like part 2. And then another story, another episode.
I don't think it will.
I hope not. Like, give it a whole, you know, whatever. But you know, at the end, you said that demon. I think that was an owl, because throughout the episode, Storm and him kind of mentioned owl a few times. I saw the owl before. Yeah. And then like when she tried to first try her powers after that machine, and she started crying, and he was hugging her on the ground. If you look up by the moon, the owl's like flying over them too. In a way, I'm kind of like, it's almost like a symbolism, like that's her, she's the owl in a way, whatever. But also that owl is kind of like, owl has different meanings in indigenous cultures or indigenous tribes, whatever. And so like sometimes owls have a good meaning and sometimes they don't. I don't want to say good, but there's just different meanings to them, and some of them are not good and some of them are.
Talking about birthday something. That was a bit raunchy. No, you mentioned he had some sage out there. So I did my research, of course, too, or watched some videos, and they said that that demon was brought into this world by Forge because he's a veteran. He fought in Vietnam, so he lost his leg, lost his arm.
He's an amputee.
And amputee. Before he died, he did a Native American ritual to bring something to help him and keep him alive, and that was the demon that saw. So when you said, "Oh, was there sage and he's a Native American?" Like, oh yeah, like he actually did a Native American ritual, and brought this bird thing in. That, and then also, like you said about the owl, it's a representation somehow of Storm. Someone predicts that's her getting her powers back slowly, and then that's her fighting some kind of inner demon to get over that hump to get her powers back. But it was really a good one to like lead up to like, oh, I can't wait for next week.
Right.
So, and then back to Motendo, something that I liked with the Motendo. I didn't know this. I had to look it up, but I thought it was cool. The person that voiced the beta version of Jubilee was the original Jubilee voice actor who gave up that role to the current Jubilee one. She didn't want to play that one because she was a white lady playing an Asian. Oh. So she gave it up to an Asian voice actor. So to have them both in there, that was also like a cool callback to like the whole episode. Like I have here, it was like a real time to grow up episode for Jubilee. So it's cool like to bring in the older voice actor to be like, hey, it's okay to make change and move on and grow, you know, for the good, for the better. So
right.
I thought that was pretty cool. What else do I have? Like you said, Magneto was a party pooper at the top, at the beginning, and we kind of get a little reminder of like the stuff that Magneto went through. Because Morph is kind of teasing him like, "Geez, someone's parents didn't take him to the arcade."
Or someone gave his pony for his 16th birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he's like, "Oh yeah, someone's parents didn't give him a pony for Morph, being Morph." And then Magneto was like, "My parents perished when I was a child."
Morph is like,
yeah, his voice, or like it gives you the anime like that. Remember, I made mention of like the avatar, like those faces they make, like or something. So I thought that was funny. But you know, for those that don't know Magneto, his backstory, like he survived the Holocaust, right? And his parents died then, and it's actually shown in the X-Men Fox first movie.
So I went back to watch it. With there's one called Enter Magneto. I believe it's the third or fourth episode of the season 1, and they
animated series.
Yeah, they don't mention Nazis because at the time that was a really sensitive subject.
Yeah, so they talk about him.
Yeah, they voice it a different way, but yeah, he does share that his parents were.
I meant like the real life. Remember they showed Magneto as a kid.
Yeah, okay, yeah. With this
in the animated series, no, they didn't show it. They make mention of it, but they didn't really go into detail. Like he was a survivor of the Holocaust or whatever. So I thought that was pretty cool that they kind of.
And see, that's why like I love like they pull real experiences into these characters where like, you know, in a way like, yeah, they're these unstoppable kind of like godlike beings, but on a humanistic level, they have these struggles, these traumas. You know what I mean?
Like the same stuff real people go through.
Yeah.
Fun actor, the voice plays. So yeah, I said that. One thing I want to, if they go into detail about it, I mentioned when Storm fell off the cliff, she fell back into the cabin. So I'm wondering is it all like a simulation? Is Forge a part of it? Because like we said, you know, Forge was the one that designed the original plans to make those collars and make the stuff that caused Storm to lose her powers. So is it going to go back and tell a little more about that? It's like I said, kind of looking forward to next episode. They released the list for the show.
They did?
Well, they did like before the show came out.
Okay, I didn't think they
I thought I saved it, but
I kind of don't want to be spoiled.
You don't want to just the episode list, like
I feel like it'd spoil us away.
All right, I'll look it up. It's good. So your likes, dislikes, did you go over yours already?
A little bit.
4.
Some things that I noticed, and like I'm kind of agree with you. Like I feel like there's more to Forge. You know what I mean with what's going on here. And when I was doing my research, at one point Forge's mutation, it's kind of like he's really smart. You know, he can like break something down and really.
He kind of explains it too, right? Like he said, kind of like
a Rubik's Cube on cruise control is what he said.
Yeah.
But at one point, his mind his mutation gets so wild that he starts going crazy. He gets loopy. And so then I think it was Bishop had to trick him into his mind saying, you need to fix yourself because there's something wrong with you. And then he ends up fixing himself and he gets uncrazy and stuff like that. But so at one point he was kind of crazy there. And I feel like they might try to pull on that piece, because if you notice when the adversary bit him, it started like infecting him in a way and then threw him away. Did you notice that part?
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't think nothing of it.
And so I feel like,
but that is kind of, it's almost like the same thing that the baby
Nathan,
right?
yeah,
technovirus.
Yeah, stuff. But I think it's going to be some. But
he is kind of a cyborg. He's a cyborg. Is he a cyborg? Or?
Well, when online they describe him as a cyborg. A Native American cyborg. That's what they say.
Hell yeah.
So so
is that what it says? He's a Native American cyborg. Fuck yeah.
Anyways, so I feel like that piece is gonna be into it. But one thing that I loved about it is like it's really kind of showing where Storm's at mentally with her powers and stuff like that. And I really love that they're using that owl as kind of like symbolism for it, because at one point when they're done riding, when they're at that cliff, she does mention to him, the moon affects tides and the temperatures, and it guides the winds across the planet surfaces. And she said, here I noticed the wind never shifts, it always blows east. And so that owl is stuck here because it's the same owl I've seen or whatever. And so in a way I'm just like, Storm's kind of like the owl. She's stuck in this kind of time in life or whatever, and not really trying to move forward and stuff like that. But also I feel like another symbolism too is when she gets into an argument with Forge, because Forge admits like, I'm the partly reason why you're experiencing this. I helped the Defense Department develop collars when you were that old Geonosia and these other things. And so she gets mad, leaves, and then she's run away on that horse, and then she sees like two eyes in like the darkness, and that horse gets spooked and she falls off, and that's when she lands back in the cabin. I also seen that as her, like, she tried to escape, she tried to leave, but she's stuck there. So that's kind of like I've seen her as that owl, is like that owl's like just stuck here in the winds, and it's same with her. And like I thought that too, like, so she's back at the cabin, and when she busted that cabin, Forge comes in and was like, hey, are you okay? And then that ceiling goes back to normal, like it refixes itself. So I'm just like, is this,
I didn't catch that?
Yeah, like it was a whole, because at first you see it raining on him, and then he's like, hey, I just came up here, I was just about to come see you, and then that ceiling refixes itself, whatever. And then that's when the adversary comes.
There's something going on.
Yeah.
I
and
didn't
so
notice like the stuff you said, like, I noticed the wind never, it only blows east. Like, that's okay, so they gotta be like in a simulation or somewhere.
Well, I feel like I don't know if like they've already got taken and like they're like in some kind of like mine kind of thing, but we'll see, whatever. But yeah, I just think it's a really good story, just kind of highlight on her challenges and what she's going through, you know what I mean? And then one more thing, I was watching one of the last episodes before I came here, because I'm trying to get caught up on the old season, but they were talking about the episode 5. They were talking about a cure that this doctor had, but it come to find out it was Mystique and Apocalypse trying to brainwash some people.
Yep.
And so anyways, Xavier finally shares a team like, hey, there's possibly a cure for this, just want to let you guys know. And Xavier says to Moira, which is his love interest, don't call it a cure, because mutation is not like a disease, it's like normal as a Homo sapien, like you have it and that's it, there's no disease with it. And Rogue, she immediately like jumps on it, like, I want this cure, but then Xavier's telling to the team as a whole, like, we need to be supportive of each other, be mindful of each other, and be there for each other. And then he says something like, your power is the value of you, you're not the value of the power, or something like that. But just basically saying like, accept you who you are, you know what I mean? And so it just really like brought me back to like this scenario too, like Storm is really feeling like that loss of her power, but maybe this storyline is going to shift into like, she probably won't get her power back, but she accepts that and becomes useful or powerful in another way, if that makes sense.
Well, we can only wait and see, right? New episode on Wednesday, right? Anything you want to say? What do you got?
We originally go for Saturdays.
Yep.
But yesterday it was crazy for me. I had a birthday party for my niece. Happy birthday to my niece. it just wasn't possible, and so I asked Mr. T Bear here to move it today. So thank you for your flexibility. Appreciate that. But will we be returning on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday works the best.
Okay.
If we can do Saturday,
we'll be back on Saturday.
Trying to keep them short. I know this one's up at what? I don't know. I can't tell. It's over an hour. We're trying to get them.
But this
shorter.
is 2 episodes though. We covered 2 episodes this time.
Okay.
So each time we did. So this next one we're just gonna be covering one episode. So that'll be quicker.
Up to you, my guy.
I will be. I scared Mr. T Bear here because he's like, "Hey, did you watch your stuff then?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "What?" I said, "Nah, I'm caught up. Whatever." So I'm able to get caught up now. I feel confident. It just comes out like Mr. T Bear and I were having a conversation, like just watching these over. We watching these episodes over and over just to get these details and provide some good conversation. Like you had some things that I didn't even notice, you know what I mean, and vice versa. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I love this outlet that we're creating and have these conversations, and hope we get some more amazing viewers. And thanks for your comments. We appreciate you.
Thanks for your comments, Marisol. With all that being said, we're gonna try to shorten the episodes, so hopefully you can go back and watch them over a lunch break or something. Go for a walk and watch them. Maybe like 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes is the goal, but I don't think that's gonna happen. We can try, but as much as we want. But
there's just so much to talk about.
Thank you for going back and watching. Share, like, subscribe. Like we said, if you want to be a guest, if you share this interest as one of yours, X-Men, Marvel, whatever it might be.
A fellow mutant lover.
Yep, fellow mutant lover. You're going to come and sit and converse with us. Let us know. Reach out to one of us. Until next Saturday, I'm T-Bear. I'm Mr. T-Bear. This is Mr. MackMan signing off. We'll see you then. Peace.